Welcome back to AM Sports Cover 4. And Jay, we have some breaking news here. Now, I actually struggled with whether or not we should actually do a video on this particular topic. But when I thought about it and I thought about some of the underlying things that we currently see going on in the sport, I thought that maybe, just maybe, this is actually possible. Now, there is a former SEC quarterback by the name of Mo Hassan who used to play for Vanderbilt. And he has recently gone on record stating that he was approached by the Italian mob to throw games. He was offered anywhere between $250,000 to $300,000 to do so. And what was interesting about the statement, Jay, was that it's not only him. Supposedly, there were Alabama football players who had also decided to throw games to earn an incremental $250,000 to $300,000, and that this was somewhat rampant throughout the SEC. Now, usually stuff like this, I'm like, man, I don't want to believe stuff like this. But when you think about what happened in the NBA with a referee actually fixing and throwing games, and you think about the current landscape within college football, not only the current landscape, but also the former landscape with players getting paid under the table, 50, 100,000, 200,000, $250,000 to $300,000 for a player to rig one football game, to miss a pass here or there, to not explode through the hole as fast as you may have thought he could, to just be a little bit off on a throw that he would normally be able to make.
Yeah.
It's actually possible. And so I don't know if this is going to gain any legs, meaning it's going to go like someone like ESPN. ESPN never really report things of this nature. I don't know if this is going to gain any legs on any other platforms that have a substantial following. But I thought it was interesting and quite possibly true, just considering what currently happens in college football. And a lot of these players coming from backgrounds where they don't have a lot of money, a $250,000 to $300,000 opportunity. I could see a lot of those players going for that, man. Specifically in the way that things were structured in the past. Now, maybe a little bit less now since so many things are in the open in terms of what you can get paid. But even still, in this environment, you could imagine that because these gentlemen are not getting a lot of money, that it is possible that these kids will be willing to throw games, or at least do things within games that will make it more probable that they would lose versus win. So I don't know if it's going to gain legs. I don't know what games he's talking about. He didn't mention any of the Alabama football players. As a matter of fact, in a subsequent interview, he tried to walk it back some, but I don't know, man. It's concerning that an SEC quarterback, at least a former quarterback, whether he has a great name or not, is on record stating that he was approached to throw games. And I can't remember within that statement whether or not he said he actually accepted the dollars or not, but he specifically said that the Alabama players did. So, Jay, what's your thoughts on the comments from this particular football player, Mo Hassan?
I mean, it's courageous or stupid or both. I'm not messing with nothing like, the timeout, nothing like that. If it's me, I'm not saying jack about it. I give him credit for coming out and saying it. He did say that he didn't say the names of the Alabama players, but he did say they're in the NFL. And he didn't say that he said he didn't take anything on his side. But it's just interesting for him to come out and talk about that. It was like, from when I can gather on the podcast that he did, it wasn't like he was set up to ask it, just like he just volunteered that information, and this is not just, I'm not going to say it's just for the SEC. This has been happening from the beginning. I know what happens to little league games. Kids are either, paid to try to throw games or threatened if they don't win a game, something's going to happen to their family member or something like that, which is sad that something like that's happening even at little league games, but it's been documented. People have been arrested for that before. So to happen on the highest level that's not professional, as far as college football, not doubting that at all. And to happen to teams such as, the SEC, such as Alabama, not surprising. It can happen to anyone, but definitely the top dogs, because that's how sometimes they can stay on top. Not saying they don't have the talent, not saying they couldn't win the games without it, but If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying is a slogan that a lot of people live by, and that's one thing a lot of teams may go by. So I wouldn't be surprised about this. Again, me, I'm not saying nothing about it just because I don't want to be messed around. None of that. I don't want to be tied to none of that stuff. I'd be like, well, that was a part of my life. It happened. I erased it. I left it where it was at because I get nothing out of it right now. I'm not being threatened or anything. And plus, I don't have any loved ones in the sight of anything. So, I mean, to your point, he's not a well-known player, but he has a good following on social media, whether it's TikTok or YouTube. So we can see how if it get legs and if people start doing more investigation on it. But I don't know. I don't think it'll go too far. But it does open awareness of it, and some things happen a little bit more. We'll see if it comes back around. And also knowing that the GOAT of college football coaching, Nick, is gone now. Usually once someone retires, that's when some things starts coming out. Skeletons start coming out of the closet. So we can see if this does get legs and those skeletons come in the closet, not later on. But it's interesting for him to come out and say this stuff here. I mean, wouldn't be surprising because you and I watch some games and we like, how the hell did that happen? You know what I'm saying? Just stuff that a player doesn't routinely do. We know they're human, but some of the things that's happening, we're like, that shouldn't be happening like that. So again, this is not just for Alabama. This is for a lot of teams. We've seen shit happen like that, stuff happen like that before, and we're like, nah, that's not normal.
Yeah, I hope this isn't true, but man, just the likelihood that it is true, just when you think about, again, these college players do not get a whole lot of money. We know that these guys they've been taking money up under the table for quite some time now. And when you think about, again, the background that they're coming from, the opportunity to make that type of money, I mean, it's going to be enticing. So, I would not be surprised if this is actually occurring, man. And it may be more of a reason why these college kids need to get paid. But even then, Jay, what did they say? I think at some point they said the average Texas college football player would be worth about $500,000. You would still be enticed by a $250,000, $300,000 offer to rig a football game quite easily, right? If you're making that kind of money. The thing about being in the pros is it's harder to actually rig the pros because those individuals are making so much money that you can't make them an offer that would entice them to rig a game. College football, you absolutely can. So, I wonder if this is going to gain legs like I mentioned before. I hate the fact that ESPN and other outlets don't necessarily, ESPN is not going to damage their partners, right? And so right now, the college football, the SEC is their business partner. We won't hear anything in regards to this from ESPN relative to the SEC, which is disappointing. But we'll see if any other outlets grab a hold of this, Jay. Anything else you want to share with the people before we move on to the next?
Nah, just go wait and see, my brother.
Yeah, we will see. You guys tell us what you think in the comments section in regards to this particular topic. Breaking news. Former SEC quarterback Mo Hassan is saying that there's rigging going on, specifically within the SEC. Possibly, I would imagine in other conferences as well, but he specifically singled out the SEC. Very interesting stuff. I think there's a possibility that it could be true. You guys let us know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is AM Sports Cover 4, and we are out.